As we enter into the new year and the COVID-19 pandemic slowly starts to recede in many countries, things are beginning to look a lot brighter for HR professionals. But that doesn't mean it's going to be all smooth sailing in 2022. Chief of Staff Asia has just launched its exclusive report on some of the most important trends that we see likely to impact the year ahead. It showcases how some familiar HR issues are set to return to the top of mind for HR professionals, albeit each with a pandemic-related twist. So Laurence, you've seen the report. What HR trend do you think will hold the agenda most across 2022?
So I think it continues to be the critical thing around talent. Both attracting, developing and retaining talent. The market's even more competitive than ever. There's lots of jobs available out there. Again, it varies by markets, but there's a big skills gap. So I think there's opportunities for organizations both be far more effective with internal marketplaces. And we're seeing, wherever internal marketplaces are deployed, really big impacts internally in terms of talent mobility and freeing up people to try new things and develop themselves within the organization. So that is a very positive trend. I think also in terms of employee engagement, a lot of CEOs have traditionally given sort of lip service to employee engagement. There's been an annual survey, they've done a few things. I think that's really had to change dramatically the last couple of years. So a much bigger emphasis on real employee engagement and employee experience.
Now, recently, we've also seen hybrid working options switch from being a curious perk back in 2019 to now a base level option for almost all professional staff. That rapid transition was forced by movement and workplace restrictions throughout the region. But what is your prediction as these legal requirements ease? Can the hybrid working style become a permanent working model across the regional economy?
I think it's inevitable. Again, it'll vary dramatically by markets and culture, right? But you've already seen the biggest global tech firms say that this is permanent. Generally speaking, they're not going back. They're letting people work, in some cases, from anywhere forever, right? Which is the extreme version. So this will continue. I think there will be, probably a higher degree of return to workplace than some expect. Because for a lot of people, that community, that sense of meaning, that togetherness is important. And again, different jobs, roles, projects, there's a massive value to being together as much as possible. I do think as travel corridors open up as well, we'll see people reconnecting or perhaps even connecting with team members for the first time. You may have been working with people for a year or two, or you may never have met your boss. So, I do think these things will become interesting.
Now, another trend highlighted in the report is the need for greater and perhaps more creative management of internal talent. Hiring across borders is likely to remain difficult, and talent shortages will continue to bite hard in 2022. So, Laurence, what are some of the first steps that HR teams should be doing to pivot their focus more towards the staff that they already have on board?
So I think two things. One, I hinted at earlier, and one I think I mentioned back in December. The first is the internal talent marketplaces. Creating a way to make it really easy, really transparent, to try new things within the organization, to say, hey, I want to try these new things, or I have these skills. And likewise, managers say, we have these projects, we have these opportunities, I have a gap, I'm prepared to mentor. And providing a really simple, transparent platform for that to happen. Now, there's increasingly great tech out there. You can buy in or rent platform as a service to do that. And we've seen some larger companies build it for themselves. And indeed, some of the companies I've been working with, when we've been doing hackathon type events, we've had teams sort of prototype internal talent markets in a matter of hours, to prove the concept. So I think that's the first. The internal, increasing internal talent mobility. There's obviously an academy or capability place part that goes with that as well in terms of building the skills. And I think there's been massive advances in micro learning, online learning and virtual learning over the last couple of years. So getting those in place is critical as well. And finally, I think we talked about this back in December, is loosening our descriptions of talent and not thinking they have to be employees or contractors. but getting much more open to the gig economy, the freelance economy, and trying to track the best, because it is guaranteed, it is a factual statement that the world's best talent does not work for you. I mean, just statistically speaking, right, it's impossible. They are all over the place. They're all now that location doesn't matter and distance doesn't matter. One, you're opening yourself up to the best global talent anywhere in the world, often at better prices, to come in and work with you. So how do you completely reshape and I think the term I used in my book was not employee value proposition, but ecosystem value proposition. So the best talent anywhere in the world wants to be part of your ecosystem. They want you in their portfolio. They want to work with people in your ecosystem because they're the other best talent working on the coolest, most exciting projects, changing the world, or being a purpose-driven organization. Even if they don't want to be your employee, how do you make it so they want to work with you? I think that's really intriguing. I think that's a massive opportunity that very few HR are really looking at seriously yet.
And finally, for our look at the new year, is the changing makeup of employee health and benefit packages. Now, rising medical inflation has meant employers are getting less and less retention impact from their medical coverage spending. Laurence, is there anything HR can actually do about this, or are they simply stuck paying more and getting less for their employee health investments?
So that's a really tricky question, Paul. The latest data I saw from the US was 39% of payroll goes towards medical benefits and insurance. Benefits overall, including medical insurance. That's massive. I don't think that's going away. I don't think it's changing. There is a new area where I think is having a massive difference, which is helping employees. For the last few years, it's all been about health and wellness. And what the research has shown is, 40% of companies that have mental health programs, 40% of employees are taking advantage of that, which is huge. That means 40% of our employees are leveraging some form of mental health assistance through their organization where that's available. What is not so commonly known is the biggest factor driving mental health issues is financial concerns. It's not being able to pay the rent, send the kids to school, pay the mortgage. It's, or indeed even retire when you plan to. So the emerging field of employee experience and employee wellness is all around financial wellness or financial fitness. And if you think about it, I don't know about when you went to school and grew up, we're not taught financial literacy. We're told to work hard, we're told to save, we're told to be successful, we're told money's not the most important thing, but work hard and be successful. But nobody tells us how to manage our money. And it's very clear that one of the biggest causes of mental health and stress in the workplace is financial concerns. It also has a massive impact on productivity. The last data I saw either from PwC or KPMG was 13%. The average employee spends 13% of their workday distracted by financial concerns. And this is both in the form of absenteeism, they're not physically working where they should be, or what's called presenteeism, i.e. they're there, whether at the desk or at the Zoom or on the computer, but they're not mentally there. They're distracted. And it's calculated this is about 13% of a working day. So that's a massive cost to organizations. So what we've been seeing recently, and I've actually been working with a company called Picture Wealth that's been doing a lot of projects on this, and we've got some really powerful data. In fact, Chief of Staff published an article about this back in December, is running campaigns, and again, making this fun, gamifying the activities, but helping your employees drive their financial fitness through basic financial literacy and learning, and not just academic learning, but actually taking action.
Next up,